become even better? This is a question that we get very often, saying we are doing well, what should we do to become better? And how do we get started and what are the next steps? We want to transform our organization, our teams. How do we bring in greater accountability? How do we bring in greater collaboration? I found that making Congee is a very good analogy. So, how does that help? What is a good approach? There are some things which we call as anti-patterns. There are some things which probably offer limited impact. But to sustain, we can learn from how we make good Congee. The Congee of porridge is nothing but you take some powder first and then you want to make it into a Congee. Everything looks fine and settled. Yeah, the organization has been doing well. There are teams that are working. Some are working differently. Some are in the periphery, some are in the middle. There could be different intensities, but what should be done now? What we want to do is to bring in some extra, bring in something from outside, bring in something from the industry, some of the good practices, and we want to introduce some fluidity in the system. So what do we do first? We bring it in, we talk about it in town halls, we send out a lot of communications, we discuss this in some of the management sessions. Everybody is familiar with some of the buzzwords. But on the ground, maybe there are some changes that you might see, but it is still patchy and nothing much happens. What do we do next? We again talk about it in town halls, we tell the teams, tell the managers, go do something, and the managers ask the teams. There is a lot of activity that happens, the teams go around. Still, you find that the center is still largely unchanged or uninvolved. Now, this may be useful to some extent. Yes, it does create some buzz around in the organization, but still does not give us the full benefits of what we want from the transformation. So what do we do then? Getting an outside-in perspective helps. When somebody who's not directly connected to the operations is able to take a look and identify some of the strengths, the good practices that are already in place, and suggest how we can leverage that, as well as identify certain pockets or certain gaps that need to be addressed based on some of the good practices. So the outside-in help could be consultants or coaches. The basic difference I see is that the coaches stay with the teams for a little longer and help the teams internalize. Yes, when you do that, it could stir and shake some things. But then what it does is to help promote a more uniform culture. When everybody understands the broad happenings the same way, when everybody looks at the customer as the primary focus, starts working on delivering value, the culture of collaboration, the culture of ownership slowly starts permeating across the organization. When that happens at individual team levels or in pockets, that alone may not be sufficient. What we really want to do is to provide some additional help that will essentially help the teams do more, have some platforms that will help in sharing, in learning, in promoting good practices across the organization. That increases the agility, which is already being brought in because the teams are now working together. But once that happens, is that steady state? Not necessarily. There is always an opportunity to improve, to continually improve. Have some periodic status checks, whether it is by internal teams, maybe peers, do that check, or it could be by somebody outside, and make sure that whatever you started out with and the transformation that you wanted is happening and is consistent. Now, with that, you have your recipe for success. Now, what is holding you back? Just pause for a moment. Just be agile so that you can stay ahead. If you have stories that worked for you, if you have stories that did not work for you, do share that so we can all learn that collectively. But whatever you do, be agile, stay ahead. All the best.